Live line maintenance using hotline tools requires a team effort. All members of the crew must work together as a unit so that a job can be performed safely and efficiently. But teamwork doesn't just happen, it takes planning. And safety isn't something that's just talked about in a meeting on a rainy day. It's an attitude. It's a work practice that says you understand that your safety and the safety of your coworkers depends on thinking safety at all times and on practicing safety in every job you do. Proper planning and safe work practices are critical parts of every job you do. In this part of the program, we're going to look at some basic steps for planning a hot stick job, including the tailgate or tailboard session and the site inspection. We're also going to look at some safety practices that apply specifically when using hotline tools. If possible, planning for a job typically begins a day or several days before the work is to be done. Usually, the crew leader or foreman will check out the job site ahead of time to determine what equipment and materials will be needed, and so that he can get the information he needs to pre-plan the best and safest way to approach the job. When the crew arrives at the work site on the day that the job is to be done, the crew leader conducts a tailgate session. The purpose of a tailgate session is to discuss the job, lay out and inspect the equipment needed to perform the job, and determine the best and safest way to do the work. Each crew member is given specific tasks to perform. By thoroughly discussing the approach and responsibilities for the work, each crew member knows what's expected of him and the other crew members. With a proper tailgate session, the stage is set for the crew to work together as a team to perform the job efficiently. They're more likely to be alert for hazards and less likely to make a mistake that results in an injury. If a lineman doesn't understand his instructions or if he has questions, he should ask for more information before starting his work. The tools and equipment that are needed to do the job depend on how the job is to be done. It's important for the safety of the lineman and to avoid damage to the tools to use the proper tools and to use hotline tools only for the tasks that they're designed to perform. If a lineman has to use a tool that he's unfamiliar with, the use of the tool should be explained. He should also practice handling the tool before working on energized lines with it. And as we saw earlier in this program, hotline tools should be thoroughly cleaned and inspected before they're used. In addition to inspecting the tools to be used, the work site is also typically inspected before work is started. Here, the lineman is checking the pole for signs of rotting. He'll also typically check the poles on both sides of this one. In addition, he looks over the crossarms, insulators, and lines for any damage or signs of problems that could be a safety hazard. If damage or hazards are found during the site inspection, they should be discussed with the rest of the crew to determine the best way to deal with them. Participating in the tailgate session, cleaning and inspecting the tools, and inspecting the work site are tasks that must occur before any work is done with energized lines or equipment. If you take these tasks seriously and do them thoroughly, you can help to prevent accidents and injuries. Now, besides the margin of safety that planning and preparation give, you can also improve safety by observing safe work practices when hot sticking distribution lines. Specific work practices can vary from company to company, but there's some common practices that apply in most live line maintenance jobs. One of these common work practices is to maintain a safe distance between yourself and energized lines and equipment. This safe distance is sometimes referred to as minimum clearance. Recommended minimum clearances are fairly standard for given voltages in T&D work. For example, according to this chart, if you were working on a 34-5 line, the minimum clearance would be 2 feet 4 inches. Remember that this is the minimum clearance. Clearance requirements may vary from company to company, so you need to learn what your company's requirements are. It's also important to remember that the metal fitting at the end of a hot stick will become energized. So the minimum clearance should be maintained from the metal fittings at the ends of the hot sticks. In addition to maintaining minimum clearances, protective cover gear is typically installed on the pole, its cross arms, insulators, and lines. The cover gear reduces the chances of an energized line accidentally coming in contact with parts of the structure. Some companies also require that rubber gloves be worn when hot sticking, while other companies require that hot sticks be handled with leather gloves or no gloves at all. Make sure that you know and follow your company's specific policies for handling hot sticks. Another work practice that applies when using hot sticks is to stay within the hot stick's working load limitation. Working load limitation is the amount of weight a hot stick will safely support. Hot stick manufacturers usually provide charts specifying maximum working loads, such as this chart of working loads for various wire tongs. When hot sticks are used, they should be bent as little as possible. If there's any doubt about the load limitation of a hot stick, either a larger diameter stick or two identical sticks should be used. One final safe work practice that we should look at is maintaining control of the hot stick. Losing control of a hot stick can be very dangerous, especially when an energized line is being moved. For effective control, the lineman must be firmly positioned on the pole, and he should use a good, balanced, two-handed grip on the hot stick. When you first learn how to use hot sticks, it can be awkward, and lifting and manipulating a stick from one end to perform work at the other end can be tiring. But with practice and experience, using hotline tools becomes second nature. And when you need to use a new hotline tool or perform a task you haven't done before with sticks, proper planning and preparation will make the job go more smoothly. As we've seen in this part of the program, planning and safe work practices are an important part of every hot stick job. The basic techniques that we looked at apply to most hot stick jobs. But you must remember that specific practices and procedures can vary. Make sure you know and follow your company's requirements.